the reason why I started property management is literally because I couldn't see myself working as an engineer, right? Like you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know you're an engineer.
I'm
as
also
well.
an engineer, but interesting part is that once you have that kind of network, and I took the number of the properties that they bought or sold, and divided by the number of clients. I'm like, so if I have 40 or 50 clients, cut that into half, is like 20, 25.
Yeah.
Pretty good income as a realtor. I actually had like 26 tenants paying me rent at the time, but the cash flow after all the expense was like 1,500 only.
26 tenant and you only cash flow 1,500.
Yeah, because you
Hey, Wellbuster, welcome back to another episode of Wellbuster. My name is Cody Ye, and today I'm interviewing Ping. Ping has been a long-time real estate investor who specializes in capital raising, but today we're going to focus more on how he's teaching his students and how he's helping his investor clients navigating the world of high interest rate. So if you want to learn how to become successful, how to break into real estate, and how do you become successful in the current high interest rate environment, you don't want to miss this episode. Let's go right into the biggest problem people have in real estate, because you are a real estate investor, also a coach, you have your own broker for real estate as well. What you have seen in the current market, what's going on right now with the high interest rate?
nobody's cash flowing, right? Like the properties are not cash flowing. There's a lot of issue with the expense, right? People typically when people came to us, it's like they're trying to figure out how to reduce the expense, the spending. But the bigger problem that I'm seeing is that there's not enough income. A lot of people are facing the income problem, and this is where more and more people start being creative on how to draw or generate income from different avenues, such as, well, in real estate would be midterm rentals, short-term rentals, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the income problem is the biggest issue that everybody is facing at the current moment.
So they all probably are faced a problem at different level. But what about for like real estate investor, they only have a full-time job and then they have a few property. Now they negative cash flow. What do you tell them?
So again, everybody's situation is a little different, but the number one thing that I would say is figure out how to actually cut the expense, right? Because people were living a certain lifestyle 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah,
when everything was
low interest rate, everything's on credit.
Exactly. So try to do a high level overview on your financial situation. What's actually bleeding money? And please don't pay too much attention on your equity, right? Equity doesn't really mean anything if you're unable to sustain your cash flow. So that's the number one thing, the first step that I would ask people to do. The second thing is, where can you actually generate a little bit more? Because there's only certain percentage that you can control with your expense, right? So with the income side, that's usually where I want to kind of do a deep dive on how they can actually generate more. If they have any tenancy turnover, maybe it's the time to actually look into whether or not you can actually do, like I mentioned, short-term, or I wouldn't actually recommend midterm rental, and then maybe we can talk about that a little bit. But short-term rental is a very quick way for anybody to generate some income. Mm-hmm. Also, for example, like you do set and down strategy. I think that's another income, I guess, a skill set that you can tap into. I do firmly believe that people in today's market needs to actually grind a little bit. Right? If you find yourself not having enough skill set to capitalize on it, try to learn a few things so that you can actually monetize your skill set. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know if that answers your question, because 3 to 4 properties, if you're not managing the properties by yourself in the past 2-3 years, maybe you do need to actually look into that and try to keep more cash reserved, like in your bank account.
Yeah, so like cut your expense first.
You have to do that first.
But there's only so much you can cut. You still need a place to live.
Yeah.
Especially if you have kids. People who have kids, you still need a place to live, right? Cramped down in one room probably won't work. But there's things, maybe less traveling. Maybe that's why a lot of people are doing. That's why Airbnb is not doing that well, because there's less traveling. Mm-hmm. And then the whole luxury car market is like tanking, because I just bought a luxury car and I got a hell of a good deal out of it, because anyone who's buying necessity car like Honda, Toyota, all that, their sales are going through the roof. And all the exotic cars that are over 300K, they still sell like no tomorrow, because the supplier choked the supply. They just produce less.
Right.
But anyone in the middle of the pretender or people trying to look cool and all that, there's like no one there, right? And that's probably because of what you said. A lot of people figure, hey, first thing we're gonna reduce our expense, right?
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing. The second thing that I really want to mention is to figure out how to actually generate some income. People were way too comfortable before. If you're already self-managing your properties, this is the time to actually look around, see whether or not you can actually provide that as a service in your area, right? Then the next door, right? 2 doors down.
Become a property manager. That's
I'm
what
not.
I said.
I'm not saying becoming.
You are a property manager, right?
Yeah, we run a property management company. We have
Is it profitable, do you think?
It pays the bill. It's actually the most stable business that I've ever had so far because it just covers all the bills and it's growing very steady, right? As the investor comes into like Hamilton market, right, it just generates more income and there's a lot more things that we can profit off, right? Sales, or maintenance, project management, and all that stuff. But I'm not saying to actually become a property manager.
No?
I think it depends on your skill set. Right,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to.
What does it take to become a property manager?
You just need to be willing to deal with the tenants. That's all. But I think finding where I wanted to kind of mention is, for example, tenant placement. Right, if you need to find the tenants for your property, it's okay to kind of look around, find some opportunities in that specific neighborhood in your market because you already know something about the tenants, right? If you're running investment properties over there, if you're doing the Airbnb, look around and see if you can actually offer that as a service. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I do think when time is tough, we all just need to kind of go out there and try to figure out a way to be a little bit more creative. There's money to be made, right? And I'm a firm believer to try to reach your full potential. Right, and if you're not doing that, this is a time to really look into that area.
When do you think you push the limit and reach your full potential in the past, let's say 5 years?
Oh, here's the thing. My perspective keeps changing, to be honest.
And that's normal too, right?
Yeah.
Especially you just become a dad,
Yeah,
right?
that probably changed my perspective the most because I actually was preparing to have a lot of free time for myself. Like I wanted to create a lot of free time for myself. After I started seeing my daughter, it's kind of interesting because he actually put more fire on me, right? There's a story that I can actually share. So my dad actually didn't work a lot, like from what I could remember. Like he's always like kind of like doing a lot of volunteer passion projects here and there.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was actually a stock investor.
A stock investor. Okay.
Yeah. So he was doing that pretty decently, and he never actually had to get a full-time job. So growing up, looking at what he was.
Wait, hold up. How do you be a stock investor and don't need a full-time job? Does he have a big account to start with, or he grew it with his full-time job first? Then he kind of.
Yeah. So we were in a very fortunate position. So my grandfather actually had a couple land in like core downtown Taipei, and then so developer came to us, developed something. So we had some
Nice.
decent capital for him.
Yeah.
Right, in the very beginning. So when he started doing that, it was okay.
Yeah.
And then also, like in Taiwan, the interest rate is pretty low.
Yeah, it's crazily low. You guys think about 4 or 5%. There, I think, still 2 or 3.
It's still under 2, I think. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Anyway, so what happened was that I remember growing up, looking at exactly what he was doing. He wasn't really working too hard, and I enjoy all the moments, family moments that he was able to kind of like,
Be a dad.
Be a dad, right? Like showed up for my basketball team, right? Tryouts for high school, all that stuff. It was really good. We had a lot of like good experience, family time. But I remember there was a couple moments where he was really trying to get me to do more, right? And then he's just like, listen, like you just need to hustle, you need to do this, and then you're gonna eventually get to where you want to be. We were having that conversation, and I remember I turned around and asked him, just like, but you've never had to hustle. Your life is so different.
Like, what is it for him to tell you to do more when he didn't set an example?
Yeah, so that's a trigger point, right? Because I was thinking about all of that, and I'm just like, if I'm going to raise my daughter, like the one thing I wouldn't want to do is I wouldn't want her to feel like, okay, we have a lot of free time, but when she thinks that there's something that she wanted to get and then she doesn't, she's starting having the limiting belief. I don't want to put myself into a position where she's like, listen, I can't do it because our life is just so different.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to show her that, hey, listen, we set a goal, we're able to actually reach that goal, right? Through hard work, efforts, and
you don't
and
want to
do what
give
it
her
takes.
money. You want to give her experience and the experience to fail and get back up and never give up, right? That's the experience you want to give her.
Exactly.
Because that you cannot buy with money.
Yeah. So kind of go back to your question about like the pushing for the potential, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a clear idea on that. I just want to make sure that every year we can set a different goal, right? And usually when I think about that goal, it could be financial goal, could be health goal, but I want something more that I can actually go after, and I want to be able to demonstrate that through hard work and everything, you can eventually get to where we want to be.
Yeah. So how did your dad? So your dad had a talk with you. How old were you? Had that talk?
Oh, you know what?
You got to push harder. You mean, well, I'm studying financial freedom, but you got to push harder. When was that?
It was like getting into grade 7. I remember we had one huge argument at that time, and even getting to like like in Taiwan, from junior high to like senior high, there's an exam.
When did you come to Canada?
Grade 10.
Okay,
grade
so
10.
I'm grade 12, so very similar.
Really?
I came here when I was grade 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had that talk. I still couldn't wrap my head around where did your dad come up with the idea that he needs to push you harder?
Sometimes
how dare him to push you harder?
No, but here's the thing, like so obviously I didn't know the opportunity that he was able to create for us, right? And my mom has always been an entrepreneur, right? My mom
really?
Yeah,
okay.
My mom owns actually multiple business, like tutoring school, like
kindergarten. In Taiwan.
In Taiwan.
Crazy.
Yeah, so she's always like in the business operation. She always has that kind of mindset, right? Entrepreneur, and then she also is the one who's pushing into the real estate investing.
Really?
Yeah. Whereas my dad has always been in stock, right? And sorry, what was your question?
And the question is how did your dad push you? Because your mom's usually like you said, the more entrepreneurial one,
right?
But then your dad really come in one day and tell you that, hey, there's more in life.
Right. Okay. So he wasn't really pushing me. It's just a couple moments that he saw me that I was giving up on things that I'm trying to go after. Right.
At grade 7, you were giving up.
It was like, okay, yeah, because like grade 7 grade 6 to grade 7, like your mentality needs to change a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now you need to really focus on school.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Asian culture. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was doing that. It just wasn't succeeding. Right. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not made for this type of stuff. Right. And this is where my dad really just kind of came in to encourage me. And then and I turned around and I challenged him on that.
Yeah. And what did he say? When you push him back, say you didn't do much. You just put money in stocks and let it grow, the slow money.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that's what he was doing. Yeah, I just know like you're always home. Like you don't seem to have
stress for anything.
Exactly. Right.
What did he say?
He's just like no. He came back with some stories and all that, and made me feel more comfortable. I'll be honest with you. I actually don't remember the comeback, but it probably because it wasn't good enough. Right. But I just that type of memory trigger a lot when I'm thinking about how I want to raise my kid. Right, because it's like I don't ever want to feel like or have my daughter feel like, hey, like you don't have to work so hard for anything. I want to set the example that you can't get what you want in life. You just need to actually work hard and then be clear with your goal. Yeah.
It's very interesting because my fiance Claudette came from, I wouldn't say a wealthy family, but a family full of love. Mm-hmm. He was never talk about money growing up. Wow, it's not like they were splurging on things. They didn't buy stupid stuff, but it's just if it's tuition, taken care of. Mm-hmm. Big house, taken care of.
Right.
Nothing. And when they come into the real world, and when we're doing all these flipping projects, real estate, she was like, oh, I never seen so much money flying around, and this is how much stress you're going through, because they were never taught that. But to me, I'm thinking if I become a dad, I will become a dad one day. Do I want to let my kids have a really good childhood? And at what point should let them know this is what our lifestyle, this is what the reality looks like? Like Grant Cardone, right? Have like his daughter, like straight up is like, if you want something, you want to buy a candy, you got to work for it, right? Like, what's the balance? Like, and what do you see like before you become a dad and after you become a dad? Did that shift a little bit? Did that mindset shift?
Yeah, just so you know, I don't think I'm qualified to talk about that because
you're not qualified. You're just
my
sharing.
daughter is like 9 months old, right? Yeah. But I'm grasping a lot of concepts into sort of like Like I'm really trying to figure out exactly what is the I guess family principle that I want to actually deliver to the kids, right? What I would say is that girls, you do want to actually spoil them a little bit, get them to kind of understand. I do think that your fiance, I think their family had a good teaching
They have
style.
They have 3 daughters. So all daughters.
Okay,
So there's a saying in Asia, right?
Yeah,
There's a saying in
spoiling the
Chinese,
girls.
spoiling the girls, and then make the guys suffer.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they'd be true men, right?
exactly. Because like the guy, yeah, you got guys will. Well, I shouldn't say that, but like guys do need to face out a lot of a stressful situation in their life, right? Especially for the finance side. For girls, you don't want them to expose to something that they've never seen and and slowly being attracted to that, right? So yeah, I agree. So with my daughter, I do want to give her as much experience as possible, right? And part of the reason why I also believe that I need to reach my potential is also because then you continue to draw like an income coming into the business and the family, right? And that's where I can provide. With guys, I'll probably be like, okay, you know what? Like you need to figure a lot of things out like at a young age,
Yeah.
right? And I think the teaching style will be completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, why were you still so driven knowing that your grandparents left a lot of great real estate and your mom was more entrepreneur?
Right.
Your dad just put a lot of money into stocks, just don't lose money, make 3-5%, you're good. So, what makes you so driven? Because, you know, you say you started 2013 to 14 that you quit your full-time job, you start becoming a realtor, right? That's when you become a realtor?
No, actually, we started a property management company first.
First?
Yeah, and then once we build all that clientele, then we get a license. I got a license.
Yeah.
To
When did you
capitalize
get your
on-
license?
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why? What got you to start property management? Because like, I don't think anyone wake up in the morning and be like, I want to deal with tenants.
Right.
I want to deal with drilling holes in the wall to have internet. Like I just dealing with that this morning. Like one of the property, I don't have a property management, right?
Right.
Like people don't dream about that. So
No.
if you know that, hey, what got you there? Because you're like, hey, I'm kind of set, right? If any, you know, are you the only son in the family?
No, I got the older brother.
Older brother too.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 of them. You guys split all that. Split it. You guys are. I'm set. So what got you so driven on keep like I want a property management? Now I'm gonna go to realtor. Realtor is not like I thought about becoming a realtor. I got the license. I park it now because I'm like I want my weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do right now is for financial freedom. It's not the other way around. It's not money first. It's freedom first.
Yeah.
And then so what were you thinking like?
Okay. In terms of where my drive came from, I do actually believe that it's the desire to want to experience more things, right? Because at 100K in salary, you can experience certain things. At 250K is different. $1 million will be different.
Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't say that. I'm sure there's a stopping point, by the way. To the point where I feel like, okay, I max out my lifestyle. Okay, that's one thing. But then what's next is going to be what kind of impact do you want to actually have around you? I actually get a lot of satisfaction by helping people. Okay, and this is why we build a community to really show some strategy, investing strategy, some mistakes that we went through or we're currently going through, and then if I can influence people in a positive way, that really that makes me happy, right? So I think it's a desire to want more, and then eventually leading to be a little bit more influential for the circle that I have. Okay, so I think that is the goal. But to kind of go back to my journey, the reason why I started property management is a little because I couldn't see myself working as an engineer, right? Like you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't know you're an engineer.
I'm
as
also
well.
an engineer, but I
didn't even wear my iron ring anymore.
But here's the thing, I'm
It's all
not
rusty, literally.
really.
Yeah, literally. I put it in the washing machine once and it came out all like brown.
Interesting.
Yeah, it goes brown. I got the
because
iron
it's a
one.
stainless steel, right? So
I got the iron one.
Oh, I see.
I've been told, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, so here's the problem. Like I was sitting in there. By the way, my type of engineering is a boring one. It's material engineering.
So it's boring. You guys do a lot of research.
No, it's boring. It's really boring, right? So I wasn't able to adapt into I guess working environment 8 hours, 9 hours into a lab, right? Looking at microscoping all that stuff. So I already knew I didn't want to get into that industry, but once I really get into the industry, it just got my mind start spinning two different things. And real estate came very naturally because back in 2010, my mom actually supported me with my very first student rental. Okay, and it's a funny story because she actually put 20. She sat me down before we bought the first one. She put 20 on the, I guess, my notebook or something. She said, "This is your goal before you finish school." I'm like,
20?
Yeah, what do you mean? She said, you need to have 20 tenants paying you rent before you finish school.
Wow.
Right. And
I wish my mom told me that.
yeah, my mom
Maybe I
was,
wouldn't be here if my mom told. I probably even don't go to U of T for engineer. Maybe I'd be a real estate mogul right now.
yeah, no. So I was I have been in a very fortunate position, right? Because my mom was already doing a lot of real estate back in Taiwan, so she knew a lot of like fundamental stuff, right? And coming into Canada is all just about learning the regulation, how the lender works, and all that stuff. But because of that goal, which by the way, I really did not enjoy that process. Like being told what to do, right? In school,
You
thinking
just want to have fun in university.
Yeah.
Who cares about 20 doors?
Yeah, exactly. Being a landlord was never a fancy thing in my opinion, to be honest.
Still not.
Still not, exactly. But 2015, so this is the part where I kind of talk about like being creative a little bit. 2015, that was my first time ever facing that kind of problem. I'm like, I actually had like 26 tenants paying me rent at the time, but the cash flow after all the expense was like 1,500 only.
26 tenant and you only cash flow 1,500.
Yeah, because you refi, right? You take the loan, you
Yes.
dump into another property, right? Another property cash flows a little bit, and then
And that's just for the record of our audience, is that's when the interest rate was continuing to go down, kind of thing.
that was like 3-4%.
3
Yeah,
or 4%.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then
Okay, so that's where I needed to be creative because I'm like, okay, I got a like 70K, 65, I think 65K salary from my full-time job, being an engineer. I wanted to figure out how to exit that industry, right? And I'm trying to figure out what is the quickest way to do it. So at the time, I actually, still my wife, at the time was girlfriend. I met my business partner Angel, and then he's already like investing in multifamily in Hamilton.
Nice.
I was investing in the student rental. I never actually stepped out of student rental area, and then we're like chatting, and then we're like, okay, you also wanted to kind of figure out to operate another business outside the family business. I want to exit engineering job. What is the best way to do it? We're like, we'll invest. Okay, so we picked up 2 other properties in St. Catharines. We flipped another property in Hamilton. I was like, okay, not too bad, but how do we actually expand our network like within a very short period of time? And then we thought about it. We're like, you know what? Your skill set is in construction. My skill set really is in
He's with construction boots even now.
exactly. Yeah, but I think at the time my skill set wasn't there. So I partnered with someone like Andrew who can bring me who was willing to share a lot of resources with me. And I'm just trying to figure out how to really expand that. And one of the things that we were looking around is as we were scaling up the portfolio, we couldn't even find the right property manager at the time. We're like, what do we do? Why don't we just internalize this service? So we built that system first, and then we're like, okay, it's not too bad. Like now we have a staff, we can do more things now. But in order for us to pay for that staff, let's figure out a way to generate more leads, more business for our service, because we're doing that for our own properties already. And then one thing lead to the next, and then we started. I think the first 3 months we were doing tenant placement. We're just cold calling like some landlords and just reaching out to them, building the connection, and also let them know that, hey, we also offer the tenant placement service for your rental properties and all that. First 3 months, I think we made after all the expenses, we made about 26,000.
Nice.
Yeah, just by placing tenants.
And then were you guys getting paid like 1 month's rent? Like
75% of 1 month's rent.
Okay, so you guys undercut the market a little bit. Okay.
For sure.
But then you guys, because usually it's like 50-50, right? 50% buyer, 50% seller. But you guys come in and say, you know what? We're going to take care of it with our own marketing channel. So you guys get paid 75%. It's still better than the 100% they're paying.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, it's still better than 50% that we're collecting. Yeah. And then from there, and by the way, honestly, it's super easy. It's just posting ad, right?
Facebook Marketplace.
At the time, there's Kijiji.
Kijiji.
Yes. Yeah. So we draw tenants leasing there. We just place the tenants to whoever that lives far away from Hamilton at the time.
Yeah.
We actually scrape the system for anybody that's starting with 416. and 647 because we know that they're 30 minutes out.
Yeah.
So we use that to generate some cash, and then we're like, okay, that's not too bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, start building a team. PM is extreme slow business. It's like you can, first of all, it's a lot of work, right? That's why we had to have the.
How big is your team now for property management?
At some point, we have like 14 full time, like on payroll.
Right now?
No, but we cut it down to right now 6. Yeah, 6
Okay, that
people.
sounds more profitable.
Way more, yeah. Because when you have that many people, you need to always make sure the leasing funnel is like the tenant placement funnel
you have
is
a
there.
machine to run, right?
Yeah, and then project management, like we have a target for 2 projects a month every single month, and it just end up being like way too crazy in my opinion. But interesting part is that once you have that kind of network, because I remember we have about like 40, 50 people like by 2016, 2017, and we're like, okay, these people, they're transacting real estate, buying and selling their portfolio, right? Restructuring. And I took the number of the properties that they bought or sold and divided by the number of clients. I'm like, every client on average is transacting at least one deal every 2 months. Every 2 years. So if I have 40 or 50 clients, cut that into half is like 20, 25.
Yeah.
Pretty good income as a realtor.
Yeah.
Right. So we're chatting, we're like, okay, we need to start incorporating more tool into our business.
Yeah.
So we got a license. Business was okay. Obviously, we're doing pretty well. 2017, also we took the same opportunity to leverage the network that we built, and we got into the multifamily space. Yeah. So, and at the time, each door it was like 91K, right? And yeah, no, I don't know how people are paying like 200K with the current interest rate, but at the time when we first got in, it was like 91K per unit. Yeah. I think the next thing we saw the opportunity was like 2018. Regular property don't cash flow anymore. Now you have to build at least 2 units or more. Legal duplex, yeah. And we're like, why don't we start flipping business? Like start a flipping business, right? Flipping some properties. That way, every single project that we get, at least there was a 50K profit, and we get to stack the projects this way.
Yeah.
So
you have the fast money now.
Exactly. And by the way, even right now, I think we're still in that phase, right? Because we talk about the fast, medium. Like we have some properties that are just long-term hold, right? Which we don't mind holding it forever, but the cash flow just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Right? So yeah, we like the strategy of flip 3, hold 1. And just kind of keep that.
Yeah, flip 3, hold 1.
Keep that
some
ratio.
People flip 2, hold 2. Yeah, kind of whatever ratio that.
Or some people hold, like literally just hold. Right? When you just hold, we came across with a lot of investors who end up holding 6 or 7 properties, and they can quit their full-time job. And that concept bothers me a lot. Yeah. It's like, you already got yourself into 6 or 7 properties. You should be able to have the option to just be like, hey, listen, I need my life back.
Yeah. That's crazy. So I know at the beginning, really the whole go for full circle, high interest rate, and you go into your journey. And now we go into how you start your entrepreneur journey is actually property management. That's like the first time I heard someone start that. Usually it's realtor first, then maybe property manager, because there's internal needs for their portfolio. So you actually learn the business first, how to run a business, because property management is a business. If you don't run it tight enough, you're losing money.
Oh, guarantee.
Right? So you learn that first, and then you become an agent. And now you're teaching people how to flip.
Yeah.
Can you touch more on that, why flipping or wholesaling can still work in such a high interest rate environment? Because when people are borrowing money, it's at a higher risk, right? So how can that still work?
Okay, so the way that I look at it is very simple. So flipping may not necessarily work in different climates. And the reason why I'm looking at it is literally because there's not a lot of attention on that strategy right now. Back in 2020, when COVID just started, right? Everybody was telling us, don't touch retail store, don't touch office buildings. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because like commercial space is over.
No one's going to work.
Exactly. Yeah. Remote is going to be the new trend, and it's going to change the industry completely. That's when we're looking around, we're like, okay, I wonder how much each building is costing right now. And we saw locking some properties in for 60 to 65% of the market value.
Crazy.
Yeah. And guess what? Like after we did a bit of a value as a 10 months, 12 months later, it really came back, right? In 2021, it was a student rental, right? Because campus was shut down.
Yeah.
Right. So we're acquiring some student rental. Now 2022, really wasn't a lot of things we could do, to be honest. We actually got a couple projects in 2022, took loss on one project. And I have no problem saying that, right?
Why do you have to take loss? Is it because of interest rate hike?
Yeah. So that property, we didn't want to hold it for too long, right? It didn't actually fit into our long-term strategy. Long-term goal. It didn't align with our long-term goal. So we're like, you know what? Let's take a loss. We make pretty decent money like in the past couple of years. It's okay to just take a loss.
Yeah, it's like you make money on all these flips. There's going to be one or two pooper, and it's okay. It's knowing when to cut loss and let them go.
Exactly.
So that your mental strain is not on that and move on to better things. It's just like a set and done strategy. There's 2% chance we might lose money.
There you go.
It's okay. Just take it.
Yeah.
And then move on. And actually learn how to take a loss and continue to operate at a high level. Right?
Exactly. Because I like what you said about probability, right? If you think about any investment, it's all about probability. Even if you can win just a little bit about margin, right? But your I guess the winning chance is like 9 out of 10 times. That's a good investment.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good investment. So, but where it gets tricky is if the win and lose ratio is like 50-50 and you still take, then that's gambling.
Yeah.
Right. So
the worst thing in casino, everything's less than 50%. I think the highest win rate can get in casino is baccarat. It's what, 44%?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, that's why we want to become the casino owner.
Exactly.
That's why if you're interested in that, to learn about a set and done strategy, then there's links in the bottom to watch some video about it.
Yeah, good stuff. That's a good stuff. Yeah. So you were asking about the flipping business, right?
Yeah.
Where do I see the opportunity is in?
Yeah, because you're like, a lot of people are under financial stress for cash flow. And you're asking them so that, hey, you should start a new business. And one of this business could be flipping.
Yeah.
And you actually just happen to be coaching about it. So why are people still making money? Like you kind of said, hey, because people are not looking this way.
Yeah.
You're being greedy when others are fearful. Exactly what Warren Buffett said. When the students are not going to school, you scoop up student rental. When people are not required to go to office, you scoop up office. So what is it now in 2013 that you're trying to scoop up?
Right. It's literally just an off-market deal, right? The deal that's at a serious discount, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because in the past few years, we've been dying to want to have a buyer's market. Now the buyer's market is right here. Like,
is it?
We are, of course.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We're still seeing a lot of bidding war. Like,
okay. Depending on the area. But at least like in Hamilton Mountain, there's a certain pocket. It was like the property isn't moving, right?
Not moving, right?
They're not moving too much, right? So when we're looking at that, it's like, okay, there's a lot of things you can do to it. Number one is to figure out how to negotiate for even lower price. And this is where we started comparing our current flipping model versus BRRRR strategy versus all the other stuff, right? Multifamily, when we run the analysis, anything under 12 units without value add, you can't even cash flow, right? With the current interest rate.
You're saying if you're buying already turnkey, anything under 12 won't even cash flow.
It won't even cash flow.
That's including you have a property management team managing for you. You might cash flow if you manage yourself. But if you have a property management come in charging 6 to 10%, it won't.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Now, BRRRR strategy definitely won't work because the interest rate is so high. Why do you want to take the loan out? Yeah. Right. So when we're doing the analysis, the best case scenario, you're cash flowing about like a couple $100, right? And that's with assumption that the tenants are all going to be paying top market rent, and there's no default on the rent. Yeah. Right. It's honestly, it won't change anything. And the truth is that you're probably going to get more stressed out, right? But where the opportunity is right now is in, I think the off-market deal, or even on the market, there's quite a bit of opportunities. Right now, the market is down 20 to 25%, even 30%, depending on the area. Okay, if you buy that property, you fix it up, and we wait until central bank announce that, hey, we're done all the rate hike. Okay, we're going to freeze the interest rate. What we saw back in March 2023 is like the moment that they didn't raise the interest rate, it creates an influx of buyers coming in. And those buyers were single family buyers and also investors, right? Because they feel like, okay, now is the time to get in, right? So we're at all-time low in terms of the transaction activities right now. People are waiting for that moment to come in.
Yeah.
So I just want to put myself into a position where we build a product that will feed into both investors and home buyer.
Yeah.
6
a broader buyer base. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're buying at 30% below the market right now, right? So the moment that the market shifted to different direction, I'm not going to talk about 30%, I'm talking about 10% only. It's okay to actually lock something in, right? And hold that property a little bit while you're doing the renovation. Wait for that wave to come in and then pick up your project. Because that's what I've been doing in the past few years, right? Every single year there's an asset class that doesn't draw enough attention where you can negotiate the property really, really, really low.
But you have to it's all good. And if I know I don't know about you, but from what I heard is we're filming this July 13, 2023. Maybe in the next 6 to 8 months, they probably hit the peak of the interest rate. They might start turning around. But what if it goes a bit longer? Can you guys hold on to those property?
Right. So the question here is that you don't want to buy a property. You don't ever want to flip a property that doesn't offer you an option to hold. Right. And even if you're holding it will cost you, let's say worst case scenario, $1,000 per month. 1,000 times 12 is only 12,000, right? I shouldn't call that only, but it's 12,000 where you can budget it right now. So
How far are you budgeting? Worst case, you guys need to hold
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
20K, but hold that. Make sure that you let your lenders know exactly what your plan is, right?
Yeah.
Make sure everything's open, so there's no renewal fees and all that stuff. But let's say 12 to 18 months, we're building something that we can actually hold, but renovate it in a way that you can actually sell it back to the market. Just wait for that opportunity, that influx of a wave coming in, and be in front of that wave.
I think this is very smart in a way because I have the same feeling. The moment that they freeze the interest rate or start decreasing it, the price can jump 20% right away. So a lot of people are waiting for that moment to come out. But the moment that comes out, everyone knows the information. There's no more deals. So you're kind of front running it, knowing the risk going in, and you knowing the worst case. You budget 18 months, and because every other property, if anything to happen, you have active business to fill in that hole. Not a lot of people have that luxury, so not advice for everyone, but for you guys are doing this.
That's what we're doing.
And that's where you can get the best deal.
Yeah, and this is a very active business, right? And that's why when you mentioned about why am I still doing what I'm doing, a lot of things still quite short, right? Short-term play, because I just wanted to figure out where to really scale up that business aspect. And a lot of things that I mentioned it ties into the income problem that many people are facing right now, right? We gotta figure out how to get good at the running business or picking up the right, skill set that can generate income so that you can weather the storm in today's market.
Yeah, I really enjoy the talk. You go all the way from your journey, all the way from property management to being an agent to now flipping, even during a down market, you're really capturing that tail end of it before it flips up. I think it's all a very wise idea. Is there anything else, because we're a Wealth Buster podcast, so is there anything about wealth you're you never heard this before, you want to let our audience know? This is one thing that really changed the way your wealth.
Honestly, investing in yourself. That's the very first thing. If you don't know, there's a lot of information out there which we all have access to. But the biggest problem is that if you're not willing to if you're not willing to actually pay for speed, right? There's tons of information out there. You're not gonna do anything with it either, right? Because let's be honest with each other. Just because you have access to the information, it doesn't mean that you know how to utilize it.
There's a YouTube university.
Yeah, exactly, right? But the biggest problem is that I often find myself not knowing exactly what to do or what not to do, right? Based on the stage of the business. So I think everybody needs to find a comfort zone, right? Could be in stock, could be in real estate, could be in
both.
Yeah, it could be both.
I do both. A lot of our students do both, and they're very successful about it.
Exactly. Just invest in yourself.
Your dad, your mom is totally opposite, and they're still under the same roof.
My parents actually, sorry. So at the time when I was growing up, my parents always investing in the education. We had so many books at home, right? And even when I didn't think I need any help, my mom put me into the tutoring schools and all that. So part of the reason why she opened up tutoring schools because she could put me in back into that room to learn
Control
more
the
things.
quality of tutoring.
Exactly. So education to me is it comes very naturally, and whenever I don't have a clear goal clear solution to a certain problem, I just sign up for coaching, right? Because you pay for speed, right? The biggest issue between us and let's say people who are struggling isn't really because we're so different. It's just because we know that a couple different things that will help us generate that income. So that's the opportunity cost that everybody's facing.
The way I put it is this. A lot of people get on, I don't get on a lot of calls now, but a lot of people message me is like, Cody, I know how to trade. I'm like, okay, first of all, why are you messaging me then? If you're trading, you're good, then why are you messaging me?
Right.
Second thing is a lot of people, just like Michael Jordan, right? If you think you can shoot the ball, you can dribble, and you can run, you can play basketball. That's like a lot of people in trading or in real estate. You have money to buy and all that, but you don't know how to tie them together. For sure. And even the top players like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods have coached because a lot of time we're at that level, they still want to grow and a lot of blind spot they have, right? And that could just be that one small thing that push them through, or just accountability.
Yeah.
Sometimes they want to get up during the day and we can pound them, right? We have accountability, have coach pounding them.
Exactly.
Right? So there's a lot of things that this is a life hack is like having the right coach will help you excel a lot faster. And it's just in ways that you cannot imagine. And then if you stack up on all those coaching, maybe some coaching won't work. Hey, I'm not saying all coaching work. I have my coaches go out and take other people's coaching. Sometimes we see a coaching program like, oh, I don't know how they are operating. But it's a probability game. If 8 out of 10 are working, you're way ahead comparing to the people who take zero coaching, do nothing because they just go into the YouTube university and say, commenting about things that they never done.
Yeah.
Right?
I call that gambling.
Yeah, or gambling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is there any last words you want to say to my audience, the Wealth Buster?
You know what, honestly, educate yourself, right? Like start with that. Like the money that you put towards like traveling and all that stuff, probably put that towards education for the time being.
Yeah. That's a good time. Good time. The best time to learn is when the market is down, when everyone's panicking. So, where can people find more about you, about your property management, about your realtor service, and your flipping coaching business?
You know what? So my Instagram is ping_real estate. I'm pretty much like on my social media all the time, so you can send me the DM, and I'm more than happy to actually just put you into the right
That's
source.
his Instagram. So you're using Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to follow Ping, give him a follow and message him if you want any guidelines.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great.